Hey Browns fans, this is your chance to join the company of some of the Browns' all-time greats on the first ever Browns fan cruise. Picture this. For 5 unforgettable days, you're sailing across the beautiful Caribbean Sea, reliving the Browns' greatest moments, getting autographs, snapping photos, and celebrating on the beach with your favorite Browns alumni, like Josh Cribbs, Webster Slaughter, Eric Metcalf, and a dozen others. Book now and take advantage of our easy, budget-friendly payment plans on this once-in-a-lifetime, all-inclusive cruise adventure. The clock's ticking, Browns fans. To book your cabin and for more information, visit brownsfancruise.com or call 216-284-6472 today. Browns Fan Cruise, where diehard fans and Browns alumni come together for the trip of a lifetime. Don't wait. Secure your spot today. And go Browns!
It's time for the Burning River Sportscast. Rejoice, rejoice at the sound of my voice. The NFL is back. Hopefully Eminem doesn't cease and desist me like his buddy Ramaswamy eating mom's salami. Hell yes, I just rhymed Ramaswamy. And if that's not reason enough to listen to the Burning River Sportscast, then I don't know what is. How about the fact that it is week 1? Like Ned Stark said, winter is coming. And it came, and it went. And now it is time. Time for bone crushing, spine splitting, head cracking action. Time for DW, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, and Denzel to put on for their city. And it's time for the official start of Season 2 of the Burning River Sportscast every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts. Where, as always, we'll break it all down for you next. Joey Burrow has been dealing with a calf injury or a calf strain. It was a strange strain. That'll make the beginning of the show. Look like helmet condoms, for lack of a better term. It's disappointing that he plays for Cincinnati because we know they're less than Ohioans down there and they don't even have their own airport.
It was cold. They were right about that. But that's something I learned from being from California. I learned to endure, and really, if that was the worst of it, that was the best time of my life, spending those 6 years there in Cleveland. So I'd do it all over again if I had the opportunity to do it.
Welcome into the Burning River Sportscast, presented by Tapin Media and brought to you by the Cleveland Browns Fan Cruise. I'm your host, Kenny Thunder. That's right, look around. I'm as turnt as I've ever been for the start of Brown season and the NFL season, and I have no one to tell jokes to, make fun of, or call names. So you are stuck. You are stuck with me. But do not let your heart be troubled. Our cast of thousands will return next week, and I have a killer show in stock for you tonight because we will shortly kick off our very first Burning River Browns backers interview series. And stay tuned because later on we have our inaugural edition of our exclusive Browns Fan Cruise interviews with the one and only Webster Slaughter. It's a night of firsts for the Burning River Sportscast. First backer interview, first cruise interview, and our first show of Season 2 of the Burning River Sportscast. But before we get on to all that, remember, you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, Good Pods, and more. And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, the only place where you can find the full video version of our weekly show. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all of those socials is at Burning River Sportscast. And we are on X, Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter as well, at Burning River Pod. And while you're at it, check out our merch at www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. We've got shoes, hats, mugs, mouse pads, shirts, shorts, flags, phone cases. The cruise line just dropped for you, those of you that are going on the cruise that are looking for some apparel or slides or swim trunks that are in line with the event itself. All available out on thetapidmedia.com/shop. So make sure you check that all out along with everything else in the store, because we are constantly adding to it as time goes on. So, like I said, huge show planned for you tonight. Super excited. But let's kick things off with the Burning River News Story of the Week. All right, so the Burning River News Story of the Week is about everyone's favorite off-season topic, the Guardian caps. Yep, you've seen them. So a picture up here. Look like helmet condoms, for lack of a better term. It's essentially padding on the outside of a football helmet that is padded on the inside. However, Guardian caps, the padded soft shells worn over football helmets, have become a staple at training camp practices. Jeff Miller, NFL Executive Vice President overseeing player health and safety, said there's been a significant decrease in concussions. According to Miller, there has been a 52% decrease in concussions suffered by players at positions wearing Guardian caps compared to the concussion rate of players at the same positions over the last 3 years of training camps when Guardian caps weren't worn. As a result, this year the NFL has had more players wearing Guardian caps, wearing them longer into the preseason. However, there are still no plans to have them wear Guardian caps during the games. Goes on in the article to say the NFL is continuing to promote research and development of position-specific helmets, things like extra padding in the back of quarterbacks' helmets, since a large percentage of their concussions are from when the backs of the heads hit the ground. And it said that the early data on that front is promising. Here's my question. If we are a league that is concerned about player safety and we have these silly Guardian caps that have decreased concussions by over 50%, why aren't we just wearing them? I realize they look awful silly, but I'm sure that there are plenty of graphic designers and clothiers out there that could render trademarks and logos on helmet covers to try to make them look more aesthetically pleasing. But if you're the NFL and you say, we have this magic pill that prevents players from getting concussed as often, to the point where we're mandating it during practice, but you say, we have no interest in the players wearing them during the games because of aesthetic reasons, well, then you're really not that serious about player safety, then, are you? It just is. It's just a very just runs dichotomous with so much of what the NFL has talked about over the last few years regarding player safety, and the instances of CTE and the research that's been put into that. We tend to overlook and forget about the instances of Javon Belcher and Junior Seau. But these were real guys, clearly suffering, and went on to have just horrible atrocities go on. If a helmet condom like the Guardian cap can prevent someone from going through that same thing, why are we not wearing them all the time? I just am having such a hard time with this. Even if they were to open up to some players that said, if you don't want to wear the Guardian caps full time, but some players do, why not let them? It's not like this is they're looking at it saying the numbers are nominal, or we haven't seen a huge decrease. You're talking about over half of the volume has decreased based on players at certain positions wearing Guardian caps. So it just blows my mind. I agree. They are silly looking. They're terrible looking. I would hate to have to watch that every Sunday. But that's not a good reason to not equip players with leading edge technology that's going to help keep them safe. So I just would ask the NFL, what is the plan here? I know that they would probably have some kind of canned response about, they're going to look at all these different things and see how they can continue to upgrade helmets in general. But look, I mean, football players kind of look silly to begin with, don't they? A lot of guys have got away from wearing knee pads or thigh pads at all. I mean, in a high school football game, you're flagged for not wearing your butt pad or your knee pads. But in the NFL, they do it all the time because it looked silly, or they would say that maybe it impeded their movement. But again, the goal here is to keep players safe. So we let them get away with that. Why not let them put condoms on their helmets? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I thought that was interesting here for our news story of the week, is that we have a way to prevent concussions, but don't tell no one. All right. As I mentioned at the lead of the show, tonight is a night of firsts. We have a ton of things to get to. But before we get into the Browns backers interview, given that it's just the official start of season 2 here for us at the Burning River Sportscast, and even though my cohort and cast of thousands and crew are not here to help put on the show tonight, I'm doing it all solo, which bear with me because there will undoubtedly be some hiccups as we go. It just felt like now is a good time to level set a little bit. Level set what we're all about here at the Burning River Sportscast. So, first off, what is the Burning River Sportscast and why you should listen? We're absolutely here to share in the latest sports talk, game breakdowns, analysis, breaking news of the day, exclusive interviews with sports and pop culture personalities, Browns backers, alumni, and more. That being said, there's thousands of podcasts and TV broadcasts talking Browns and other local sports. So why the Burning River Sportscast? Well, for one, everything, and I mean everything, that is procured and produced by Tappan Media is built and made right here locally by diehard fans who have built this company from the ground up with their own hands and their own money. And our commitment to you, to fans, is to always lead with the truth. We're not here to arbitrarily argue over overtalk sports stories to be played on a loop in doctors' offices all across the country all day long to pick up artificial Nielsen's ratings. And we're not here to blow smoke up your ass about this team or this town. We're here to speak truth to power and to hold people accountable in every case. You can turn on any other show if you want the vanilla highlights. If you want to feel artificially good about the Browns, you want to bury your head in the sand, but we don't do that here. We'd love to tell you that the Browns are the greatest franchise in the history of sports and they should win every game. But you won't find that here because it's not real. We root for the Browns. We love the Browns. But we're not going to play silly semantic games or lie to you and ask questions like, would you rather lose but Deshaun Watson plays lights out? Or would you rather win, but Deshaun Watson looks really bad? That's bullshit. To quote the late, great Colonel Sanders, you play to win the game. All right, he didn't say that. But if your goal is anything else but to win, feel free to turn on your local radio, turn on a local pregame show, and you can get all the superfluous high that you need to feed your addiction. But if you want the truth, you want some fun that finally stands up and says, enough is enough? What you've done for over 20 years defies logic and statistics? You couldn't be this bad if you tried? Stefanski, Barry, the Haslams, consider yourself all on notice, courtesy of the Burning River Sportscast. I can't wake up every day and continue to hear, this is the best Browns roster we've had in 20 years. But then hedge my expectations by saying, that Joey B., he's pretty good. The AFC is just tough this year. This division is stacked. It's bullshit. Frankly, it's bullshit, all of it. If this is the best roster you've had in 20 years, then go out there and act like it. Earn it. Enough settling for maybe we can sneak into the playoffs or slide into a wild card spot. Do your damn job. Go out there and play whistle to whistle, and you don't stop until you're the only man left in the arena. This is your $230 million guaranteed contract quarterback. This is your new air raid offense. And this is your collection of personnel chosen to steer the ship from 1 to 53. You made this bed, now you lay in it. We're done with the excuses. Every team has injuries. The NFL is filled with talented guys. Winning is hard. But this is your shot. And that's what we'll bring to you every Thursday on the Burning River Sportscast. And hopefully, we're mildly entertaining while we do it, wherever you get your podcasts. And hopefully, we win the damn Super Bowl. Felt good to get that off my chest. Just to say, we're done with this. We've heard all the talk. And enough is enough. This team continues to say every year this is the best team we have on paper. Well, there's no paper champions in the NFL, so let's get this shit together. All right, enough of my Kenny log. Now to the rest of the show. Super excited about this next segment. We're going to be doing this all year long. We're going to talk with Browns backers groups across the country, across the world. Primarily, our schedule has us set up to talk to Browns backers groups for away games in the cities that we are playing in. And then for home games, we will be interviewing local chapters of the Browns backers here in Northeast Ohio and around. So we just thought this was a really, really important thing to bring to share with you guys. I think a lot of people think of the Browns backers as here's a bunch of drunk Browns fans that get together on Sundays and they watch the game and they hoot and they holler and they have a good time. But I think as you get through this series of interviews and listen to these guys talk about their membership and the things that they do, it's so much more than that. Sure, it's fun to get together with like-minded fans and listen to the game, watch the game, have an adult beverage or two. But these guys truly are stewards of the community for their school systems, for the youth. They're often involved in various fundraising efforts and charities. So I just think that part of it goes often overlooked when you're thinking about the Browns backers in general, and we wanted to make sure that we gave some platform and some time to each of these groups to talk not only about some of the things that they're in, but just about expectations for this season and the Browns in general. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and welcome in our very first interview with the Browns backers organization, Tony and Austin of the Black Forest Browns Barkers, courtesy Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Tony and Austin, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
We're doing great. It's opening day.
Absolutely. So we're meeting today. It's a busy Labor Day. You can see how hard this organization works. Even on a holiday, these guys are sitting down and doing interviews. So it's awesome. So hope you guys both had a good holiday. Just wanted to kind of jump in. Like I said, this is going to be something new, a new segment for us this year, talking to Browns backers organizations all over the country and all over, the globe. Really, this is a huge organization. We respect a lot of what you guys do because this fan base is so tuned in. And they just take this so much more seriously than I think the casual fan does. So always excited to talk to the Browns backers group. So to get started, why don't you guys tell me a little bit about your chapter? And it seems like this is a newer chapter. Did you guys actually start it yourselves?
Yeah. I'll let Tony take the floor on this as the president of the Browns Barkers here.
Yeah, so, I started this chapter in 2019 with an email out to some friends and family, and pretty quick, we had about 80 founding members that came together to join this chapter with similar to what the Cleveland Browns backers mission statement is just to get together, raise some money for local funds and charities, and support our beloved Cleveland Browns. So we're almost 5 years in. We're starting our 5th year right now. And we've donated over $70,000 so far to different local charities. We do scholarships at Brush High School, which is right here in our community. We run a youth camp for children ages 8 to 14, a free youth camp every summer. And, we get together at the Black Forest here in South Euclid, watch the games. We do some major events each year. Like week 1, we're raising money for the Cleveland Browns Foundation. And we do fill the squad with the South Euclid Fire Department for the Harvest for Hunger and Cleveland Food Bank. So we've done a lot of good things so far. We have just over 250 members. I think we're second in Ohio, top 10 in the world in terms of members. And we have $40 fee that a new member pays, $30 renewal after that. And then we do squares and 50-50, and that's pretty much how our money comes in. And then we have a donation process where any member can, through our website, put a recommendation in, and then we vote on it at our 3 chapter meetings per year. And that's how we disperse our funds. And, Austin is one of our senior officers, and he's our digital coordinator that does all our Facebook, Instagram, website, all our flyers, helps out with a lot of events. So I'll let him talk a little bit about some of the other cool stuff we do.
Yeah. So like Tony said, I was a founding member as well back in 2019. And I mean, the organization is just great. The chapter in South Euclid here is great. Tony puts on a lot of events that gets the members involved. Every year we do a tailgate party at the Black Forest, which is our viewing location of where we watch the games at. So we'll have all the members there, throw a big party for them. And that's kind of like our kickoff to the year. We had to move it out a little bit this year because of the away scheduling so it's going to be the Seattle game. But that's kind of like our big kickoff for the year. We also do a lot of good events such as like rib cook-off, chili cook-off, just get more members involved. And that's the great thing. We get a lot of people that come up to watch the games on Sundays. We do a lot of great events for the members as well. But one of my favorite things that we do every year. And this more goes on the line of like giving back and donations. And so around the holidays, we'll reach out to families around the local area in South Euclid here. And we'll raise money throughout the year, and around Christmas time, it's called Barker's Give Back. So we'll raise money in December around one of the games that are near the holiday season, and we'll have a fundraiser that day. And also throughout the year, we continue to raise money. And we'll pick around 5 to 7 families, I believe, in the area. We'll go directly to their homes, deliver gifts, gift cards, everything like that. Just to help assist these families in the need during the holidays. And it's just one of my favorite things. I've gone with Tony and a couple other members as well on the board to deliver these gifts to families as well. And it's just such a humbling and great experience. And, there's that fun side where we have events and we do the rib cook-off, chili cook-off, tailgate party. We're also doing a trip to Indianapolis this year for the game as well. But then there's also that side as well where we continually give back to the community. And it's just been an awesome experience.
Wow. I mean, you guys are involved in a ton of stuff. And I think that's one of the things that goes overlooked a little bit, just with the Browns backers in general, is how dedicated that these chapters are to their communities. I mean, you just outlined a ton of really awesome initiatives there. Now, can I ask, do you guys have backgrounds in this kind of, that's a whole organization. I mean, it's one thing to be a Browns fan and to get together with like-minded individuals, but this is a whole operation.
So
you again.
Yeah, in my personal life and my professional life, I do a lot of different events, and I've been in leadership my whole life. So I'm pretty good at bringing people together. And but we have a 16-member leadership team, which I'm pretty sure is the biggest out of any Browns backers. So it's a whole operation. Mm-hmm. And on top of the 16 leaders that meet before every event, we have members that aren't on the leadership team that show up and run events. For example, one thing that we didn't mention yet, we do a South Euclid cleanup day. And I started it the first year and I kind of ran it. And you get to a point where if the same people are doing the same events and 2 involved, eventually you can't do it. You can't keep growing. So 2 of our members, husband and wife duo, they said, let me take that over. And now they send out the emails. They get the donations to feed our members. And we show up once a year in April, and we walk the streets wearing our Browns clothes, and we just pick up trash in parks and on main roads. So the more of our members that get involved, the more we can do. And when any member has an idea, we're like, tell us what you need support with, and we'll help support it through our platform, through our email and our social media, and there's nothing we can't do for this community. It is a lot. Austin also designs our apparel, and we just released 11 new items this past Sunday at our chapter meeting. Not yesterday, but the last Sunday. And we already got 3 more from suggestions that we're adding on. So we have about 22 right now, different apparel items. Wow. I don't know if you're seeing it, but Austin's wearing one of the new ones. I have, the polo, the old polo. This is our older logo. It's a lot of work, but we do have, Austin mentioned, we have fun doing it. We definitely tip a few back when we're meeting together, and we have fun watching the game and cheering on our Browns. And certainly we're ready for a Super Bowl run this year. That's going to make it more fun.
Absolutely. No, again, just congratulations to the whole organization. The amount of, initiatives you've outlined there, cleanup days and things, the amount that you've raised for different charities and the Browns Foundation. That is incredible. So that is really awesome. certainly.
Thank you.
To have a membership group that large, I would have just a question about. Do you find that you had you say 230 or so actual members?
It's like 254 right now.
250. So do you find that when you have these big events, do you have more than that group come out, or is it just really that core group of around 200 or so individuals that come out for these things?
So we have members. One of our founding members lives in Las Vegas. A lot of our members want to be part of the good that we're doing in the community. So they don't all come watch the game with us. We probably have, I would say,
50 to 80%.
50 to 80%, show up. But we also have non-members that come and watch the game with us. They buy our squares. They buy our 50-50. Sometimes our non-members support us more than our members because they're buying our squares, they're buying our 50-50. They're coming. Most of our events, you can come as a non-member and pay a little bit of a fee. You can come watch any game with us at Black Forest, and we're going to welcome you. You don't have to pay to be there. You're just enjoying as a non-member. But when we do, like he said, our tailgate party, our rib cook-off, some of those events where there's a little bit of flash going on, it's a $10 fee. We give away, T-shirts to our first 50 people for our tailgate party. So that if you come, you could pay a non-member fee of $10. We did just have Josh Cribbs join us at our meeting last Sunday and spoke to our. So we made that exclusive just to members because we wanted to keep it. And he signed autographs, took pictures with every single member. And he spoke and answered questions. He was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, Josh is one of the good ones. He's good for that kind of thing. I think that's one of the interesting things, too, about the backers in general is you have this kind of core organization that gets together, loves the Browns, and then sometimes you're kind of, with these events, almost insulated by the second layer of non-members that really kind of grows just your reach for all the things you're trying to do. So that's really awesome to hear. So talk to me a little bit about, do you guys schedule specific games during the year where you try to get out to the stadium, or are you guys at Black Forest every Sunday for the games?
Yeah, so good question. We don't do anything on the Browns Barkers chapter downtown because a lot of us have, either season tickets or go to most of the games. But we have to, per our agreement with the Cleveland Browns, to be a backer, we have to have the viewing location set. So we're not trying to drive traffic away from our viewing location. But on a personal level, are you guys going to be down there for every game, by the way?
We'll be a hit or miss for a few things. We were down there for a couple of preseason games earlier, the Redskins game earlier, the Commanders game earlier in the preseason.
If you want to join us October 1st, way before the Browns Barkers I've been doing a tailgate down there once a year, one big game, couple hundred people, we cook out breakfast sandwiches, music. So if you guys want to join a really good party, come join us on October 1st.
A lot of Barkers are there too.
Yeah, a lot of our members are there, but we didn't want to make it an official Barkers event because then we're driving traffic away from our viewing location.
Sure. No, it sounds like a can't miss. We'll see what we can do to get down there that day. With an organization this well run, I'm sure it's going to be pretty spectacular. All right. Well, no, I appreciate you outlining some of the different things that you guys are involved in, all the different initiatives. Really, really cool stuff. But I did want to just jump in real quick and just get your guys' thoughts about the upcoming season. Obviously, I think we've all been, itching, ready to go through this really long off season and preseason. But we're finally here, week 1. What's the expectations from the Barker side?
I'm feeling good. I don't want to set too high expectations right now, but I think we finally have the pieces. I mean, we've said that for years, like back to the Baker era. We've said that we have the pieces, and it just always seems like there was something missing. But this year, I think we finally have it. I think Schwartz was a great addition to the defense. All the signings with Dalvin Tomlinson, trading for Zadarius Smith. MJ Emerson seems to be growing. I think we finally hit on a few draft picks. We'll see, but I think the defense was just dominant in the preseason for the most part, besides the KC game. But I mean, I'm not going to judge you based on the second half with the starters not playing.
Sure.
But I mean, it seems like they finally have it together. Obviously, a lot of it's going to come down to if Deshaun's back or not, if he can get back to his true self. But I mean, I have high expectations, or I'm not setting those high expectations yet. But I think this is finally, hopefully, the year. So
based on Deshaun's preseason and what we saw in 6 games last year, where do you think he is right now?
I liked his performance against Kansas City. He had that one underthrown ball to Elijah Moore, but he seems more comfortable in the pocket. Yeah, he seemed a little iffy last year, not as comfortable. I mean, there was just a lot coming back from the suspension that I'm sure he just wasn't fully there. But I think he's finally. I liked what I saw in the preseason, although it was a very small sample size. I think he can get back to being. I mean, what we've heard in camp is like he's basically been lights out from all the reporters that are there. I follow all the reporters basically on Twitter or X now, so I pay close attention during the practices. They all said he's looked sharp. I think he can get back to his true self this year, especially with all the weapons we have. I think Chubb will definitely help ease that for him a little bit too. But with Moore, Cooper, and Njoku, Peoples-Jones, I mean, I feel like we have it. I'm a little worried about the running backs behind Chubb, but we'll see. I think he can get back.
Yeah, I'm with Austin in my excitement. I got us at 12-5, and we have the pieces, and there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. But I definitely think we're going to show up really well in our division. Definitely win 2 out of our first 3 division games out of the first 4 weeks. I really got us beating Cincinnati week 1, and then getting off to a good start. But Deshaun, those 6 games last year, that was a weird year for him.
Yeah.
And the preseason, he's ready to go. I mean, evidence, the team voting him team captain, that's because of his leadership and how he shows up and his work ethic. And, I think our offense is going to be so spread. How are you going to stop us? There's so many things we can do, from a run or play action. And then, not to compare him to Patrick Mahomes, but Deshaun can break down some plays and do some pretty cool stuff as well. And, I just think we're going to play well. I mean, and Austin mentioned the defense. The run defense, under Schwartz has been proven to give up less than 100 yards a game. And we have some core safeties and defensive backs that are going to help that. I mean, NFL is about scoring, and we're going to put up the points we need to. And I think our defense will put us in some really good, favorable position. So deep run into the playoffs, and I already mentioned Super Bowl once, but I'm an old school guy. I'm a little older than Austin, so I'm not afraid to mention Super Bowl.
No, I love it. I love the optimism. I love the breakdown, the analysis there. What do you see as the biggest headwind for the Browns this year? Is there a particular concern, something that is on your mind at night?
I mean, I think it just comes down to the quarterback. I really, like I said, I have high expectations for Watson, but if he can't make that leap through first 4 week, by week 5, if he doesn't seem back, I would get a little worried then. I'm not giving Stefanski a ticking clock. I think he'll make it throughout the year, but we have to see just in terms of expectations, if they meet the expectations, if he's around next year. I like Stefanski. I've liked him, but that's my biggest concern. I think just kind of something that keeps me up at night is just if we're going to finally have that answer at quarterback. It's been 23 years of that, 24 years of that. I mean, are we finally going to have that answer?
Yeah, and I'll jump in with Stefanski. I think 20 wins in 2 seasons is third best from a Browns head coach, which is pretty solid. I wish he wasn't calling the plays, though. I wish he could be more into the full game. So if anything keeps me up at night is the play calling and decision making and, some things that we scratch our heads on Monday morning. So, I hope that, he has that figured out as a third-year coach and, we're going to put ourselves in a position to win.
Yeah, I would say if Stefanski's here at the end of the season, it's a good thing, right? Because they probably won the football games. If he's not,
right, yeah.
things went south for us.
Yeah.
No, again, appreciate the breakdown, guys. This has been awesome. Really appreciate you jumping on and spending some time with us. If you have, is there a particular place, if you have prospective members or people that would like to learn more about your organization or join your organization, that they should go to find more information?
Yeah, so you could follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is just Browns Barkers, all one word. On Facebook as well, you will have to send a friend request, but Browns Barkers as well. Those are the main 2 platforms that we're on right now. There's a link in our description that heads you towards just the Browns Backers Worldwide website to sign you up for our chapter. If anyone's interested, we'd love to have you. We love welcoming new members. But yeah, those are the main 2 platforms that we are on at this time, just Instagram, Facebook. So.
And then also, if you just Google Browns Barkers, the Wix site is the easiest way to get to our website.
True, yep.
A lot of information on there, my contact information, and any questions. But we definitely want to keep growing. What we're doing here, and certainly want to learn more about some of the needs in the community on how we can show up. Because 4 of our games each year, we special. We raise money for special foundations. So this week it is Cleveland Browns Foundation. I told you about, the Fill the Squad with the fire department. We still have 2 that we haven't even chosen yet. So, we're here to help the community, and we have a lot of people out there willing to help, not just our members, but a lot of people follow us and support us because of all the good we've done in the last 4.5 years. So.
Sounds like it. Again, this is quite the operation. Certainly, if it's you're in the area and you're interested, these sound like 2 really good guys to reach out to if you want to get involved, because they are doing a ton. Again, appreciate the time this afternoon, guys. Really appreciate the South Euclid Browns Barkers for joining us today. Any final words, any final thoughts from your guys' end about this season or anything just coming up that you guys want to make sure is on people's calendars?
Super Bowl's won. Second week of February.
There's going to be one heck of a party at Black Forest when we go to the Super Bowl. But no, thanks for having us. Check us out. Stop up on a Sunday, visit Black Forest. We will welcome you with open arms, whether we're having an event or just watching the game. But we want to meet you. Come say hello.
Yeah, and if you follow us on social media too, through Facebook or Instagram, you'll see all our upcoming events. All our upcoming events are on our website too, so feel free to check that out as well. But thank you so much.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, this is the South Euclid Browns Barkers. Thank you for listening to the Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns!
All right, so awesome to talk to those guys out there in South Euclid, obviously involved in a ton of different things. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview. There are, like I said, more on the way all season long as we will roll out the Burning River Sportscast red carpet to each of these groups to make sure we can get a feel for what each of these organizations is doing and how they're having fun with their respective chapters and the things that they're doing in the community as well. So with that, let's jump right in to the Week 1 preview. Guys, football is back. I'm so excited that football is back, and I'm so sad to be alone because I know that the big bone man and Red Hot Ronnie Jams would just be beside themselves with excitement. I know they're traveling this week, some ill-timed vacations, but much needed and well-deserved with their families. So, like I said, they will be back next week. But for now, for me, I am just super turned because we get to talk Week 1 football, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. It's back, baby. All right, so what do we have going into Week 1? We have an obvious quarterback battle. This one, sorry to tell you folks, is going to be all about the quarterbacks, I do believe. Joe Burrow coming off a great 2022, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, making some deep playoff noise again. Off-season highlight, Joey Burrow has been dealing with a calf injury or a calf strain. It was a strange strain. That'll make the beginning of the show. But did return to limited practice a week or so ago. All signs point to he should be fine to start the game and to play the game this weekend. So I don't know that, I think Browns fans had this in mind that we might end up seeing a backup Week 1. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. We are going to have to deal with Joe Burrow, who very clearly is cementing himself as one of the top young names in the game. And has just been fun to watch, frankly. It's disappointing that he plays for Cincinnati because, we know they're less than Ohioans down there and they don't even have their own airport. But that being said, Joe Burrow's there and he makes it cool. So I heard a rumor actually that he may be getting engaged or is engaged to a longtime girlfriend, and there's bars in Cincinnati coming out with like Joe Burrow shots for the sad girls that don't get a chance to meet and be with Joe Burrow anymore. So that was fun. But again, all signs point to he'll be fine for Week 1. One thing I would point out, not that he has a super long history in the NFL, but last year he did start slow. He did the 4-pick game against the Steelers in Week 1 last year, and they just kind of looked hapless. But clearly, he turned it around, only throwing 12 on the season. So you think about that, 4 interceptions in Week 1, 12 for the next 16 weeks. Pretty impressive. And then I think when you look at our side, so we kind of know what we're getting with Joe Burrow, a guy that's been tested, national champion, been to the AFC championship game. He knows what the playoffs are about. He knows how to win. And then I think there's just questions on our side, right? We have Deshaun Watson, who we have a huge investment in. Obviously, we're all expecting that he'll return to form at some point. I kind of start with, if we were to take the last 6 games of last year and extrapolate that for Deshaun, what would that look like? So if you kind of went game by game, just based on averages, he would have thrown for over the course of 17 games if he had played at that current rate, which obviously we hope he exceeds. But that kind of sets a baseline at 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, which for as bad as he looked in some of those games, you would expect the numbers maybe to be a little bit worse than that. Not that those are top tier quarterback numbers, but that being said, I think he's not going to be any worse than that. So I think that's the worst Deshaun Watson that we've seen. And I think we've seen the Browns win games with that kind of production, whether it was Jacoby Brissett, whether it was Baker Mayfield. If that's the ceiling right now, because there's still some rust to shake, I think this team can be okay. I think that they can win ball games until he hits that extra gear. So again, 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's my baseline for Deshaun this year. I think anything above that is kind of like cherry on top, and that would mean that he's returning to the old Deshaun, the one that we invested $230 million of guaranteed money into. That being said, with Cincinnati returning Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, adding newcomer Irv Smith Jr. at tight end, I do think early in the season, right, there's not a lot of things to go on based on what we know and what we don't know. And I would have to put the known advantage Cincinnati. Just because we don't know, how Deshaun's going to look. We've heard through camp that he looked great all season long. Didn't see a ton of him in the preseason. Kind of a weird offseason with them at the Greenbrier, and some practices got kind of rained out, this and that. So we didn't have a ton of chances even to see Deshaun and the offense take the field during your normal camp days. So it's a big unknown, especially given the fact that we've heard Deshaun, the defense, Kevin Stefanski, all say over and over again, this is a completely different offense. Not going to be like anything you've ever seen before in Cleveland. So we can only assume that means that Deshaun is going to be the focal point of that offense, and likely his arm throwing the ball downfield. So, but that being said, even with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, DPJ, I think all of those things lean towards the unknown versus what you know you're getting in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. Running back, I think Chubb versus Mixon. Mixon is not half the running back Nick Chubb is, but to be honest, I don't think either team is interested or going to run the ball with any kind of authority or purpose in this game. Again, very clearly seems like the Browns are trying to get away from a power run game, a power run scheme, and really want to let the ball fly, especially early in the season while the weather's good. I just have to imagine they're going to take every chance they can to try and make that work. I'm sure they've scripted a ton of downfield throws here for early in the game. And I just don't buy that this early in the season with the talent that you have of these quarterbacks, that either team is really going to be committed to running the ball. So, advantage Browns if you had to pick one, but I just don't know that it's going to matter that much. Browns have more starters and positions across that revamped defensive line. So I'd give them the edge there against Cincinnati's defensive line, even though DJ Reader can be tough and Trey Hendrickson can certainly do some damage on the edge. Not a lot of excitement in the linebacker group for either team. I do think the experience lies with Cincinnati there. Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt anchoring that group, and give the edge there to them. I do think the weak spot for Cincinnati is on defense this year. The Bengals have two new starting safeties in Dax Hill and Nick Scott. Look, if DW4 is going to be worth anything and he's going to show up in this game, that's where he should eat. Eyes on those safeties a lot, making sure that he's either moving them from one side of the field to the other with his eyes, and picking his spots, whether they're in zone or man, to get completions down the field, because they had a pretty nice secondary there for the last few years and lost a few guys to free agency attrition. So, new safeties back there. I think that's, when you're looking at secondaries on a paper, the Browns would have the better secondary. However, Grant Delpit questionable with an arm, Greg Newsom questionable with a groin. Hoping both of those guys can make it back, but then you throw Zell in with the concussion if he had only been wearing a Guardian cap, or could learn to tackle with his head up. We might not be in this position, but here we are. So with all three of those guys questionable for Sunday's game, granted it's early in the week, so again, hopefully Delpit and Newsom will be good to go, but right now listed as questionable. I just can't put anything here besides a push. So I think these teams are really rather even when you kind of go position group by position group. Both offensive lines are pretty good. But that takes us to special teams where you have Evan McPherson, boy wonder, versus the grizzled vet in the white D-Hop. I have a sneaky suspicion that this game could very well come down to a kick at the end to win and who has the ball last. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Evan McPherson has the flashy leg. Dustin Hopkins has been in and around the game for a long time, has made a living kicking balls through the uprights. So hopefully, if there should be a pressure kick that would come down to it, he'll have all the ice in his veins that he needs. But that's kind of the way I see the preview wrapping up there. So with that being said, let's talk about the King of the North. All right, King of the North, for those that are new or even those that just need a reminder from last year, this is our weekly AFC North Pick'em spread where we will pick all of the AFC North games. We'll tally them throughout the year, keep a running total so you know whether Ronnie or myself is full of more bullshit. Last year, Ronnie... he took it to me. So in the Muni lot during the preseason, I was covered with eggs. Throw the picture up there of my awful day there. There was literally eggshells in the cup that I was wearing when I took it off when I got home. Not a fun time. So lesson learned, don't lose the King of the North pick'ems. Ronnie beat me pretty bad last season, despite the fact that I picked the Browns record overall spot on. So there's that. So we will kind of go through the first couple of games here, and then we'll finish with our pick of Cincinnati and Cleveland. So generally during this segment, Ronnie and I would talk some shit. And we would break down at a very high level each game, just very quickly, just to say why we're picking who we're picking. So I'll do my best to just fill in for both of us here. Week 1 for the Steelers is 49ers at Steelers. Look, I just have a hard time believing that Kenny Pickett is any good at all. We know Mike Tomlin puts a fair unit together on the field every year, so I'm not going to totally overlook them because they just play above where they should be. But that 49ers team is likely a Super Bowl contender or a deep playoff run maker with Christian McCaffrey. Seems like Brock Purdy is going to return, and I don't know necessarily what they have in Brock Purdy, but I know they went 8-0 as a starter there last year and took them deep into the playoffs, and we'll see how he's healed up. Obviously, they felt good enough about it to trade Trey Lance with the egg on their face all over the trade that they made to get Trey Lance to begin with. So they must have a pretty good level of confidence that Brock Purdy is healthy and going to be able to play all year long. That being said, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, that defense is just incredibly strong, keeps them in games. Ronnie's pick this week is the 49ers, and I have to agree, 49ers over Steelers. Texans at Ravens. So I think this is another interesting one that, Lamar Jackson obviously got his contract. He's back. They signed Odell Beckham in the offseason. J.K. Dobbins looks to be healthy and is maybe a dark horse for, a leading yards, carrier, rusher of the year, if he stays healthy. And they have some good depth there still with Gus Edwards behind him. So, I think that this Ravens team is good. They're a well-coached unit. Every year they play good defense. And this Texans team is just so young. I think that they have a lot of things to look forward to there. New coach, a lot of young talent on the field. C.J. Stroud obviously landed there. I think he's looked okay in pieces during the preseason. And he's just got a long way to go, though, to learn the NFL game. It's just a different animal, as we all know. So that being said, Ronnie picks Ravens, and I have to agree again. And that brings us to Cincinnati at Cleveland, the game we just broke down. Not going to belabor the point here. We've gone over all the position groups here and where we think they're going to land. The only piece we really didn't talk about is coaching. I don't know that Zach Taylor is a coach in the NFL if it wasn't for the emergence of Joey Burrow as one of the best in the league. They were really bad his first year. He didn't look like he had control of a lot of what was going on. It does seem to me that coaching staff has a lot of young talent on it. Not always young talent, but also good, just long-term stewards of the game. So I do have a faith in their staff, not their head coach, which is a little bit like Cleveland. We've seen Stefanski win quite a few games in Cleveland comparatively to the likes of the other, 18 coaches that have been here since 1999. But that's not necessarily saying a whole lot. So while Stefanski's done a pretty decent job, I think there's still concerns about his leadership ability, his ability to run the entire organization, because of his insistence on calling plays. And even the play calling has been suspect at times. So we've seen some really odd, whether it was airing the ball out on 4th and 1 from the 30, to the rotations at quarterbacks last year for quarterback sneaks when Jacoby was there and Deshaun was there, even after Deshaun had come back. And just some really odd decisions that were exacerbated at times by poor personnel groupings as well. So, all that being said, I have questions about Kevin Stefanski's ability to call a game, but stay in the rest of the game with the defense, to be locked in with Jim Schwartz and know what Jim Schwartz are doing. And I also think that, we all liked the signing of Ray Ventrone, Bubba Ventrone coming into the special teams. But clearly there was something going on there because Cade York lost the ability to kick the football under his tutelage over the last several weeks. So I don't know what to make of that quite yet. Obviously, we'll see when that unit hits the field, what if anything, they have. But I think, again, that's something that Kevin Stefanski needs to be involved in, because you can't just be the offensive coordinator if you're the head coach. You have to be a leader of men, and you have to be able to be that CEO that's looking over each and every aspect of your organization, all three phases of the game, and can make adjustments as needed. And we haven't seen that out of Kevin Stefanski. So, again, I think there's some hopeful, some hope with Bubba Ray Ventrone coming in, Jim Schwartz coming in. You obviously have some good assistants that you feel, really happy about that are still with the squad, like Stump with the running backs and Bill Callahan with the offensive line. So they've got a good crew there. I just think there's still question marks on both of these head coaches. Zach Taylor probably escapes that because they go to the AFC Championship game every year now. So whether he's good or not, we'll probably never know until Joe Burrow leaves or retires or gets abducted by aliens. But I do think that could be the difference in this game. It's just simple coming down to coaching. That being said, Ronnie, for week 1, is going to pick the Cleveland Browns 24-21. I, again, went with the knowns versus the unknowns. I think there's a lot of evenly split talent when you look at this team on paper, both teams on paper. But I have to kind of lean towards the group that we know more about, and that's Joey Burrow and the Bengals. Unfortunately, I have the Browns in another heartbreaker, losing a home opener 28-27. I'll even go as far as calling the final play of the game. I think Dustin Hopkins probably misses the go-ahead kick from, let's call it 47 yards, and the Browns lose, just because that's the most Brownsiest way I could think to lose week 1 after the Cade York embarrassment and explosion that occurred in the last couple of weeks here at the end of the preseason. So, we can go on a diatribe about kickers and how little they're valued and how we just kind of trade them in and out. But to me, I think it pays to have a good one and one that you have faith in to make those kicks at the end of the game. And picking a guy up off the street that didn't win, his position battle in a team that he's been with for a couple of years, it worries me a little bit, frankly. So, I think that's, unfortunately, if I had to pick gun to my head how it'll go down, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. So that is our week 1 preview. We went over our King of the North projections and picks for this week as well. And then I do want to quickly touch on just a couple other things here before we get to our Webster Slaughter interview. So the first being a quick trip around the league. That's enough sound right there. This is not going to be a long segment. This is actually going to be very, very quick. Around the league, the only thing that I wanted to make sure we highlighted today is Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee today at practice. So some really big implications there if he is to miss any time. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs feel really comfortable with Patrick Mahomes and where he's at physically and what he's been able to do over the last couple of years. You always feel like you have that edge if you have the best quarterback in the game, which They probably do. And they've kind of let some players go around that, right? We've seen less emphasis on having a top tier running back. They let Tyreek Hill go. You have guys like Isaiah Pacheco and Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney that they brought in last year, but is really healthy. That are his primary weapons now. And I think Travis Kelce for a long time has been that safety blanket. He's a tremendous athlete, obviously. Can't throw a first pitch worth a shit, but he's just a really good tight end. So if he's to miss any time, and I think the question here is, anytime you hyperextend the knee, if you're an athlete, it's scary because that's just not the way your leg is supposed to bend. And then the concern is there any structural damage to ligaments, tendons that would cause you to miss more time that would need rehabbed. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this. That could be really big if he's out for a few weeks. Might even the playing field a little bit out there in the AFC West. But we'll see. My guess, if I had to put money on it, is Travis Kelce will play Thursday night in the league opener, but that's just because I think he's a tough dude. But we'll see what comes out. So finally, I know this segment is around the league, but really, this is a week before the season, right? It's pretty quiet. All's quiet on the Western Front outside of Travis Kelce going down, but. Wanted to throw a quick light on college football because college football started this weekend. Kind of that weird, we have football on Saturday, but not Sunday yet for 1 week a year, which always throws my body clock off. But interesting first week in college football. Down goes Clemson, down goes LSU. Ohio State won, but kind of in lackluster effort. I think they won by 3 scores, but probably an opponent that they could have done more too. I think there's still some questions there at Ohio State around what they really want to do about that quarterback room. You got 2 guys obviously that can play. One maybe is a little more athletic, but a little more raw. And for now they're going with McCord. So we'll see how that continues during the rest of the season. But good win for Ohio State out of the gate. And then the big story in college football this week, our friend Neon Deion Sanders, prime time in the Colorado Buffaloes. This is just such an interesting story because it's Deion Sanders. So, just a guy that has never failed at anything in his life. Whether it was, playing in the NFL, playing in college, playing baseball, head coach in college now, and now of a much larger program, shows up on day one, kind of lights up the room, lets everybody know, hey, you're probably not cut out to be a Colorado Buffalo anymore because you guys is ass trash. So, basically find that transfer portal and find somewhere that wants you because most of you aren't going to have a role here much longer, which was kind of like, wow, well, like, who is this guy? What's he doing? If it wasn't Deion Sanders, I mean, there would have been probably some really serious questions around, is that the guy that you want leading your program? But because it's Deion Sanders, you let it go. He brings in all these new guys over the transfer portal, and then they go out this week and have a big win against TCU. That was in the national championship game a year ago. Obviously, they lost a number of kids, including their quarterback this year. I think they were ranked, 14 coming into this game, but first ranked win by the Colorado Buffaloes in a while. So it's just a really interesting story because it's an illustration of what this new NCAA looks like. And with things like NIL, with things like the transfer portal, can you build a team from scratch? Obviously, there's some questions of nepotism around there because he has those kids playing. His son is the starting quarterback, had a hell of a game. I think threw for 500 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns, something ridiculous. And then his other son, I think, was the leading tackler with like 10 or 11 tackles for the game. So it's just a crazy story. It's one of the most interesting storylines in all of sports right now. Obviously, it's just one game, so we'll wait to see what happens the rest of the year. That schedule does not get a whole lot easier if you look at it on paper for them. But that being said, they're out the gate 1-0, and just a tremendous storyline. So we'll see what they're able to accomplish the rest of the way. And with that being said, let's talk about the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline. Remember, these are hot takes. We want to hear all your takes. Call us during the game on Sunday. Call us during the Manning Cast on Monday. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how the team is playing. Hopefully, we're celebrating a big win over the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. Call in and celebrate after that. Let us know. Give us hot takes. Hot takes, hot takes, hot takes. As many as you got, we'll take them. We'll play them on air. 330-227-8080. 330-227-8080. 330-227-8080. And let's take a quick revenue break here, and then we'll gear up for our old friend Webster Slaughter. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery, now available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, award-winning, small batch, local, and family-owned. All right, and you know what time it is now. It is the moment we've all been waiting for. We are super excited to get into these player alumni interviews with so many of the players that are going on the Cleveland Browns fan cruise next March, setting sail with us as we MC many of the events on the ship and many of the different just the events and games and things that'll be going on with the alumni on board. So really looking forward to that again, but we do have the opportunity to go through and just get some really candid background and stories from some of these guys. I think it's a really interesting kind of sneak peek into what that fan cruise is going to be about, because this is, again, an unprecedented level of access that Cleveland Browns Fan Cruise aims to provide, which is generally with a lot of these events, you kind of see these guys behind a rope line or they're back, together off on the corner somewhere, and you can kind of wave and say hi. The goal here is really to give you a chance to interact with the alumni on board, have them, tell stories about their time in the league and with the Browns, and just kind of reminisce and get a chance to just, thank each other. I think the relationship between the Cleveland Browns fan base and the players is a really special one. I think, when you ask any of these players about, the fan base, they only have good things to say. And so many of these guys are just, have interesting stories that you otherwise wouldn't hear. So, without further ado, Webster Slaughter, the man who needs no intro at all, will go ahead and kick this off. Fortunately for you all, this is your one chance to have Red Hot Ronnie Jams back in the studio, because we actually were able to talk with Webster right before he left the country. So he will go ahead and kick us off here.
Powered by Riverside FM.
All right, so our next guest is one half of the class of 2020 that was elected into the Cleveland Browns Legends program. In his 12 years in the NFL, he amassed 563 receptions for 8,111 yards and 44 touchdowns. Boys, please help me welcome Webster Slaughter. Woo!
Let's go.
Webster in the house.
Webster. All right, Webster, thanks so much for joining us. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for you guys having me on this show.
Yeah, no problem. Now, before we get into some of the questions that we have for you, we do want to talk about one thing here. You are going to be on the Browns fan cruise in March of 2024. That is confirmed, stamped, signed, sealed, delivered. You're there. So we do have to say, being that we're brought to you by the Cleveland Browns fan cruise, we're the official podcast of the Cleveland Browns fan cruise. We are going to be on the fan cruise. We're going to be emceeing the events on the fan cruise. I just want to say we're really, really excited to share that fan cruise with a legend like yourself. So we are looking forward to that. And can you tell the fans just a little bit of what they have to look forward to being on that cruise?
Well, just like you, man, I'm excited for this. This is a long time coming because you never get a chance really to thank fans the way that they should be thanked, because all the stuff that they brought us through every season that we were there, all the encouragement that they gave to us. Now we get an opportunity to see them and shake their hands and say, hey, man, thank y'all for being such great fans. I really look forward to just mingling with them a little bit. I know we'll have some other players on there, not just me, maybe about 15, 16 players on there. So it's a good opportunity for us to kind of get amongst the fans for a few days and just hang out, man, have a good time.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure we will probably come back to we will come back to the Browns fan cruise later on in the interview. But for now, we want to talk a little bit about you. So you've got a pretty interesting story here. Is it true that you only played high school football for 1 year?
Yes, sir. And the only way I got on the field was the football coach saw me in a pickup game in the gym playing basketball and asked me if I would come out. And I first said no, and then he talked me into it. I ended up coming out, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that he talked you into it because, or else we wouldn't have all these great stories. But tell us a little bit about that journey. I mean, from a single year of high school football to being drafted into the NFL, kind of take us through that and where you went along the way and what that looked like.
Well, it's really funny because that year, that was my senior year that he came into that gym. Well, I hadn't played any sports up until that year. And then my senior year, I played 4 sports, track, baseball, basketball, and then football, and became really, really good in all of them, even making all-star teams and MVPs in that single year. And so I left there still having no place to go. The team that I played was a team that hadn't won a game in 5 years. And so no one was really looking at me at this particular time. So I had made the decision. I was going to Stanislaus, and I was going to play baseball. And I ran across a junior college coach at San Joaquin Delta, Coach Jack Jordan. And he got a hold of me, and he said, hey, man, if you come and play football for me, I guarantee that after 2 years of you playing under me, you'll get a scholarship. And so I made that decision to do that. Got there, and just like he said, man, we had a couple great years, tops in the States, a couple years there, and I got a scholarship there to San Diego State. I wasn't even starting my junior year when I first got there. I got there my junior year, and someone got hurt in the third game. They put me in, first pass to me, I turned up the sideline for a touchdown, and that was that. And went on there to make All-American, and then the Browns, with their pick, by advice of Paul Warfield, chose me with their first pick.
Wow!
Oh yeah! So talk about taking advantage of every opportunity. I mean,
oh man, it was awesome.
I don't think anybody does it better than you, Webster.
I mean, that's quite a journey. I mean, was there a moment there where you really set your sights on I could be in the NFL? Like this is a reality for me.
There was. When I was in junior college and came over to San Diego State, when I had got thrown into the game after the third game of the season, I got thrown into the game and I scored that touchdown. Well, the rest of that year, I ended up leading the team in receptions. And so I thought right then, after that junior campaign, that I was able to get into the National Football League. I knew it was going to take a lot of work still, but I thought I had everything I needed to work on and become a top receiver.
It's awesome.
Awesome. And so, you mentioned getting drafted by the Browns. You did play for the Browns from 86 to 91. So tell us a little bit about your time with the team here.
Man, I don't have enough time to tell you about it. It was
the abbreviated version.
I had a great time. I heard all the things when I came there. All my friends and all the people who thought they knew about Cleveland told me how much I would not like it. It's too cold there. It's dirty there. The fans are not good there. They were absolutely wrong on all counts. It was cold. They were right about that. But that's something I learned from being from California. I learned to endure. And really, if that was the worst of it, that was the best time of my life, spending those 6 years there in Cleveland. So I'd do it all over again if I had the opportunity to do it.
That's awesome.
And those are some of the, just that pocket of time. The team was good. The city was on fire.
Right.
Can you speak to just the way the city just kind of came together around that football team?
Well, when I got there, man, the whole team was young. Everybody was young and everybody was hungry. And we had great coaches. We had great players on both sides of the ball. And the camaraderie that we had in the locker room and away from the field when we're out in the community was just something that I'd never experienced before, not even before that or after that. And that was the thing I enjoyed the most. And that's the thing I really missed the most is hanging out with the guys before, during, and after the games. It was the fans base there. That's another experience that you can't even explain. I've been on 5 different football teams in my league, in my career rather, and none of them measured up to the Browns, to the Dog Pound. It was just unbelievable the support that they gave you and how you felt it when you actually were playing on game day. It's what really drove us.
That's awesome. First person kind of view of what it's like to be in front of those fans. So that's really cool. Your breakout season was 1989 when you set a team record that stood all the way until 2007. Can you tell us a little bit about that season specifically?
Yeah, that was a good season. We had got a new offensive coordinator. I can't even remember his name, but excuse me for that. That's one of those issues with me. But anyway, that year we got a new offensive coordinator, and man, this guy knew what he was doing. Before we had Schottenheimer, Schottenheimer was more of a defensive coach. We did have Lindy Infante, which was really good offensive coordinator, but he left at that time, and we had a new guy. Schaffner came in there, and he wasn't the guy that this guy was. His name was Mark, I believe. And man, we just changed the whole offense up. And I was able to do more things down the field rather than just underneath. And it really opened up my game, who I really was. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And that was a big season for you. Obviously, like I said, that record stood a long, long time. Do you know who broke that record?
I do not.
It was Braylon Edwards. There's a name for you.
Braylon Edwards.
Yep.
Now, how long did Braylon stay there?
Braylon was here how many years? Like 4?
I think it was his first contract. Yeah,
I think he got his rookie contract, and after that he was gone.
Had that good year with Derek Anderson.
Yep. So, but spending time with the franchise, it's obviously more than just playing for the team. You become involved with your teammates off the field, your community. So, with that in mind, do you have a favorite off-field memory from your time with the Cleveland Browns?
Oh wow. Off-field memory. There was so many, man. What I really loved about playing for the Browns was that in the off-season, we had a basketball team. I don't know if you guys know that, but the Browns had a basketball team, and we would travel to different cities in Ohio. We go all over, and we play different NFL teams. We play policemen. We play firemen. We play college all-stars. And just that, man, hanging out with each other, taking the bus ride together to the game, hanging out with other players, I really, really enjoyed that. And, just being from California in a small town like Stockton, never leaving that place and spending a whole off season right there in Ohio, it was something different for me. It was exciting, and just the chance to hang out with my teammates, man, that was probably the best memories I had.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know there's basketball. You're probably not allowed to do that nowadays with all the stipulations and contracts and things like that. But that's really cool. That's something I would have never known without this story. So, thanks for the insight into some of the things that went on in the league. Do you have any advice for current players, especially like the younger players, with all of your experience that you've had?
Well, I would tell them, unlike what I did, just be open. You know what I'm saying? I had a mindset coming in, and no one was going to mess with me. No one was going to step on my toes. If they did, they was going to hear about it. And I didn't really feel like the first year or two I really enjoyed myself the way that I should have. And so if I had to give them advice, I would say be open to all the opportunities, all the things that go on as a rookie. Sometimes they're going to try to take advantage of you and do certain things. Man, have fun with it. Enjoy it. And, your experience and your life in the National Football League will be much better for it.
Great advice there, yeah.
Real quick, I just want to take a quick step back. So you said you only played really sports your senior year of high school. So were you a sports fan at all? Did you root for teams out in California, or did you just not have any interest growing up? Or
I was raised by a single mother, and she had 6 kids, and she worked a couple of jobs. So it was hard to get me to a place to sign up for anything. Gotcha. I lived directly across the street from a gym. So I played these sports all the time in the city leagues and was really good. I knew the people that were playing on the teams in high school. I knew I was better than most of them in all of the sports but I never got a chance like they did to sign up and play on these teams. And this opportunity came across, and I didn't pass it.
Got it.
Nice. And it's always so interesting hearing all the stories that all these players had, especially ex-Cleveland Browns players, ex-Cleveland Browns legends like yourself. But I know for most guys, there is kind of this second life after football, where they some of them even say they actually start their lives then. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're up to today? I hear that you're an ordained minister.
Yes, sir. I am an ordained pastor at King's Pavilion Ministries right here in Missouri City. We love, lead, and listen. One of the ministry deals that I do is every week I go to senior living facilities and we do Bible studies there, both on the memory care side and on the independent side. And we really enjoyed hanging out with those seniors. We went over there Sunday. Matter of fact, after church, me and my wife went over and talked to a few of them then, and they just like the encouragement the same way anybody likes to be encouraged. Sometimes they need prayer. Sometimes they need being lifted up. When you get older, you start to wonder, why am I still here? And so I can encourage them that way, that they still obviously have a reason, a purpose that they're here. And so I love doing those types of things.
Yeah, and Kenny and I actually, fun story. Back in our younger years, we worked at a senior living facility. Good old Maria Joe's in Dayton area, and so we have a little bit of insight into exactly what you're talking about as far as the encouragement and the activities, and kind of the interaction that you can bring to seniors and how much it really means to them.
That's the thing that I always took away was like you can make a really big difference in a small amount of time with somebody.
Absolutely. And before I was even doing the Bible studies there, I was an activities director for 3 years at one of them. And then for 3 years at another one, I was there. And when I was there, I was doing Bible studies then. But once I didn't work there any further, I continued the Bible studies. And then finally got ordained and went through our ministry and are still doing it today.
Now, can I ask you, do you integrate stories and things that you learned from your playing days, like with lessons and things that you're teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. How can you not? All that stuff comes up. You learn so much growing up. And that was most of the time where I grew up when I was in the National Football League. So, yeah, you correlate different stories to what goes on in life, the trials of faith and stuff like that, stuff you have to endure and overcome. And they relate to it very well.
I mean, that's a congregation with bragging rights, right? Like my pastor, My pastor is an NFL legend. Like you got to be about the coolest pastor out there.
And I mean, that's really awesome that you're doing that. Like you both said, such a small thing can make such a big difference. But to kind of, unfortunately, our time is starting to come to an end here. So I want to bring things back to the time that we're going to get to share on the open ocean and a couple amazing stops along the way in March of 2024. Let's talk about some of the things that everyone should look forward to on the inaugural Browns fan cruise. So what event or activity during the entire cruise, what event or activity are you looking forward to most yourself?
Well, I don't know all the events that the Browns are putting on. I know there's going to be a whole bunch of them because we're going to be occupied by you guys at least a few hours each day doing different events. I'm a domino guy, so if we got any domino players out there, bring your dominoes, man, because I'm going to be ready to take you out.
Nice. Well, we are sailing out of Cuba, I'm sorry, we're not sailing out of Cuba. We're sailing out of Miami. And if you go to the Cuban area over there, they have domino tournaments, all kinds of things. You going to be making a stop before we go on the cruise?
Oh, man, I'm all for it, Doc. I talk trash with the best of them, so I can't wait.
And so, that if there's a domino tournament, we know you're going to be dominating the dominoes. But what event or activity do you think the fans should be looking forward to the most?
I don't know. I think it's going to be fun regardless of what they're doing because we're going to be mingling with everybody. We're going to be mingling with them and they're going to be mingling with us. I know we're going to have maybe some basketball competition or something like that. Not a game, obviously, but some other stuff going on. When we get off the ship, we'll have stuff that we do when we get off the ship at these different resorts. We'll have signings where they can come and get autographs from us, from different jerseys or maybe footballs or maybe pictures. They'll have an opportunity also to sit at dinner with us on certain nights. So that's going to be fantastic as far as I'm concerned. I look forward to it and just saying hello to some of the people.
Yeah, it does seem like just the access to the team, to alumni, is going to be unique and not like many other events that have ever been put on. So I think this is going to be a really, really cool event.
I think this is the first of its kind. I've never heard of anything like this. I don't know why they hadn't thought of this earlier, but this is a good opportunity for us to say thank you and for the fans to kind of appreciate everything that's going on with the Browns over the years.
Yeah.
Now, if they do put a pickup game together, can you still hoop?
Absolutely. I haven't done it for a few years, but I'm sure I can hit a 3 or 2.
And he talks trash with the best of them, so he's gonna. Even if he's not hitting those threes, he's at least gonna have the trash talk.
Even if I'm not hitting the rim, I can do that.
All right, so we know that there is a competition for Browns backers organizations out there right now for this fan cruise. Some of the terms are not terms per se, but the what the winners get. The chapter with the most bookings will get an all expenses paid balcony cabin for 2 on the Browns fan cruise. The chapter with the highest members to bookings ratio also gets an all expenses paid ocean view cabin for 2. All members of the winning chapter will receive a specialty dining pass for 2 guests, and all members of the winning chapter will receive a Browns fan cruise commemorative Cleveland Browns autographed football. So my question to you, Webster, do you have anything you want to say specifically to Browns backers across the nation and around the world?
Let me first just say that how much we love you guys and how important you are to the Browns and to building us up and to letting people know who the Browns is. I've been in different places in New York, in Canada, in Hollywood, all of these Brown backers. opportunity, and it's crazy there, man. I couldn't believe I went to Canada. It was crazy how the support is for the fans. I mean, for the Cleveland Browns, and so I want them to understand how important they are to the Browns, to their players. That if you got an opportunity to get on this ship, do not miss it, because this is something once of a lifetime. And we get a chance to shake your hand, say thank you, and we get to mingle and have a little fun. Those of you who have a drink or two, you can do that, and we'll just hang out.
Yeah, and you know, they are such a big deal, and they do push the Browns name everywhere. Do you have any final words for the rest of Browns Nation?
Well, rest of Browns Nations, hopefully most of y'all take advantage of this opportunity. That's what I'm going to say to Browns Nation. I love you guys, obviously. I tell you guys that every opportunity I get, how much fun I had playing before you. But, man, don't miss this trip, because now instead of seeing me from the field waving, or seeing Bernie Kosar run across the field and waving, you know, I don't know if Bernie's coming on the cruise or not, but you'll be right up close, and you can shake their hand, and they can shake your hand, and it's just going to be different, man. And so if you got the opportunity to get there, get there.
Awesome.
I've got two things. One, I just want to let you know, you're like my mom's like all-time favorite. I grew up to her singing it. There's all these like Browns chants that were, I guess, popular, you know, during the 80s. She's always singing the Slaughters in the end zone, and he's looking fine. Like, I grew up like her just singing that. So she's going to die when I tell her we had a conversation. And then just real quick thoughts on the Browns season this year. Just what are you looking forward to, and what do you think they're going to do?
I'm excited, looking to see what they would do. I know last year didn't go exactly how we planned it to go, but I think Deshaun is, ready this year. I'm looking forward to him doing much better. The receivers around him, the tight end, that offensive line is awesome. The running backs, the defense now. Defense is ready to go. I saw a couple of the new preseason game, and they looked outstanding in a couple of excerpts that I saw in that. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I think that we are in a tough division, but doesn't matter, man. You got to play tough people in the National Football League. You got to be ready, and we got to be the dogs that we are every time we step on there on Sunday, and be ready to attack and don't stop until we're in that locker room.
Hell yes.
That might be the best sounder that I've ever. We'll cut that and play that over and over again on our show.
Yep. And so, I mean, it's been a real pleasure having you, Webster. You know, some of your stories are just phenomenal. I could sit here and listen to you all day, and I know you said you could go on all day, but you've got a family, you got 4 kids that you got to get back to. You know, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm sure you got a lot going on, so we're gonna let you go, but we do want to thank you for joining us, and just we can't wait to see you on the Browns Fan Cruise.
Time to party.
Okay, we appreciate it. We look for you. Bring your dominoes. I'll be ready.
We will.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye. I'm Webster Slaughter, and we're listening to Burning River Podcast. Go Browns.
All right. Wrapping it up here with Webster Slaughter. What an interview. Just what a story of how he ended up in the league. Incredible stuff there. Again, hopefully this is kind of a short picture of the types of things you can expect to learn about some of your favorite players on the Browns crew when you have a chance to get together with them, talk to these guys, ask these guys some questions. They have just some amazing stories, and we can't wait to share interviews with you all season long during the Browns season. We'll have hopefully one every week of the season. I think we have enough for that. We may end up towards the end of the season with maybe one or two interview bye weeks, so to speak. But for now, the plan is to have one every week during the season with one of your favorite alumni from the Cleveland Browns. So Webster, appreciate the time you gave us here today. Absolutely. Best wishes to you and the family, and can't wait to see you on the Cleveland Browns fan cruise. Once again, call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your hot takes on the hotline. Remember, these are hot takes. Call us and tell us about your thoughts on the Webster Slaughter interview. If you're someone that used to watch Webster play, maybe your favorite memory or favorite play that you saw, give us a call. Let us know. Tell us about essentially anything that's on your mind. That's what it's there for. We want to hear from you. 330-227-8080. 330-227-8080. And be sure to check out our gear at www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. And what do we expect next week? I can tell you what we will expect next week. No one else can, because no one else is here. We will have, again, my cast of thousands and crew back in the studio, back here, ready to rock and roll. We will recap the Bengals game and all that was. We will preview the Browns Week 2 Monday Night Football matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We will, again, have another interview with a Browns backers chapter, the Pittsburgh Browns backers. That should be an interesting one. So can't wait for that. And then we will have another interview with another Browns fan cruise alumni. So really excited, again, to keep bringing you these interviews all season long. And in the meantime, where can you find Tapin Media? Check out our social pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at The Tapin Media. Burning River Sportscast, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast. And on Twitter as well, or X, at Burning River Pod. And don't forget, you can always find our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. All right, and that takes us right into Facts for Days.
Ooh, the cream always rises to the top.
That's probably a reference that doesn't make a lot of sense listening to the pod, but I have my Macho Man Randy Savage shirt on today. So, anyway, without further ado, Facts for Days. Usually this is the portion of the show where we share little known facts for you to share with your friends and family that just make you say, what? But in honor of the fact that I'm here by myself tonight, and I don't even have anybody in the studio to say, what? To impress with my facts for days, I do just want to take a quick moment and repurpose this segment in celebration of all of the kiddos going back to school. It's not only the start of the NFL season, but also the start of the school season. And more importantly, wanted to take a moment to honor the teachers getting back into the swing of things. Obviously, noble profession. We know a lot of the tough things that go along with that, whether that's your behavior of some kids and trying to make sure that everything stays on schedule and you're getting through the curriculum. And, there's always questions and things about pay and benefits and teachers' unions, all these things. But at the end of the day, these are people that are teaching our kids. And I just wanted to take a quick moment and talk a little bit about two of my favorite teachers growing up. Quick shout out to Mr. May. He was my fourth grade teacher. I was scared to death of this man. Skinny little guy with red hair, and for whatever reason, very intimidated, mostly because of his reputation, which was he was a very difficult teacher. But I will tell you that everything I know I learned in fourth grade. I'm still learning things today, like when it comes up, I'm like, yep, we learned that in fourth grade. I don't know what it was about him, but he was just a really bright individual that really looked out for kids and was making sure that they had all the skills needed for life. And I apologize for those 3 weeks that I didn't go to school. I had to have psychological surveys and things done because people thought that there was something wrong with me because I was so scared to go to school and learn what Mr. May had to teach me. I'd probably know more if I went to school those 3 weeks that I didn't go because I was so scared. But again, still learning things. I learned them new today that I remember and go, hey, you know what? 4th grade, we did talk about that. He was a big, heavy red pen guy. He was big on punctuation and making sure that all of your writings were done specifically, purposefully, and accurately, and you'd get papers back in 4th grade that had more red pen on it than any paper I ever received back in college. So I'm not sure what that does to the psychology of a 4th grader, but I'm still here. And honestly, I can say that, looking back on it now, while it was awful, a lot was going on, I did learn a ton from Mr. May, the scariest 4th grade teacher around. I will say during COVID, I did see Mr. May still going at it. I think he's been with the elementary school I was at for, I want to say 30 or 40 years now. So good on him. But there was a video learning that I was able to look at online during COVID that came out, and he had spelled inauguration wrong on the blackboard, and really wanted to red pen that out for him. So kind of just, the moment of humility, wanted to give that to him. Didn't have a chance to tell him in person because I don't know the guy or what he's doing now. Probably doesn't listen to the podcast. But that being said, you misspelled inauguration. And then finally, Mrs. Dahl. This was a woman that came into our life when we were in middle school, high school, and she kind of jumped around because she was so bright. She taught multiple subjects to different age groups. She taught history, AP history, psychology, a bunch of different things, was involved in a ton of after-school activities and extracurriculars, and was just one of those people that you remember for the rest of your life. A really good teacher, someone that, again, always looked out for her kids. You didn't want to disappoint her because she was just so genuine and just so in it for the right reasons. And I remember I got caught talking one time out of turn, and she just kind of gave me this look because I was a good student. So it just surprised her that I would be, talking in class when I wasn't supposed to be, and I can just still remember that face. It's kind of seared into my brain. Where it wasn't even that she was mad; she was just disappointed. It was one of those, And then I felt bad for the rest of my life, and here I am now as a grown-ass adult, and I still feel bad about it. But that being said, tremendous teacher, taught me so much. I think one of the things that sticks out between her and Mr. May both, huge on note taking. One of those things you hate doing as a kid, for sure. But I can say, at least for me, that seemed to stick because I feel like everything that I've ever learned, I learned from Mr. May and Mrs. Dahl. And it was because they made us take notes literally all day, every day on everything we learned. So to all the teachers and all the kids going back to school, best of luck to you this year. Hope everyone has an excellent school year. And might be a cool thing to share on a Hot Take Hotline, too, if you have a favorite teacher, someone that you'd like to share an important memory with, teacher or coach, someone that impacted your life in a positive way. With that being said, it is that time of year, so don't forget to set your fantasy lineups. Just because Spectrum isn't carrying your game doesn't mean it ain't being played. And as always, don't be just a part of the problem, be the whole damn problem. And if Ronnie were here, he would say only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sportscast. Burning River Sportscast. Burning River Sportscast. Solo experience. I should have called this whole thing something different this week and just done my own thing. We should have just talked not about the Browns at all. Just about whatever I wanted to. I kind of did there at the end. I was talking about teachers. I don't know. I'm not sure why that was important to tell you all, but I feel better about it. So, this was my therapy for the week. I appreciate you guys. As always, have a good night.
Browns fan cruise and the Burning River Sportscast. What better combination could you possibly think of?
Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motor boat, son of a bitch. You old sailor, you.
I'm a domino guy, so if we got any domino players out there, bring your dominoes, man, because I'm going to be ready to take you out.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Now, if they do put a pickup game together, can you still hoop?
Absolutely. I haven't done it for a few years, but I'm sure I can hit a 3 or 2.
It doesn't matter what you think.
That's what I'm going to say to Browns Nation. I love you guys, obviously. I tell you guys that every opportunity I get, how much fun I had playing before you.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
I talk trash with the best of them, so I can't wait.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
I think that we are in a tough division, but doesn't matter, man. You got to play tough people in the National Football League. You got to be ready, and we got to be the dogs that we are every time we step on there on Sunday and be ready to attack and don't stop until we're in that locker room.
Hell yes.
Erroneous. Erroneous on both counts.
But damn.
You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name. Ralph, I don't know where you're getting your statistics.
Where's Logo Girl when you need her?
I desperately want to make love to a schoolboy.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
No way. You just finger bang their salad. What?
You first get shocked, and then you get the shocker.
Today's episode was brought to you by Towpath Vodka. Towpath Vodka, an ultra premium, extremely smooth, high quality vodka, 6 times distilled and made from Midwest corn and Ohio fruit. Clean and crisp, a truly high quality spirit made right here in Northeast Ohio. Towpath Vodka.
Hey Browns fans, this is your chance to join the company of some of the Browns all-time greats on the first ever Browns fan cruise. Picture this, for 5 unforgettable days, you're sailing across the beautiful Caribbean Sea, reliving the Browns' greatest moments, getting autographs, snapping photos, and celebrating on the beach with your favorite Browns alumni, like Josh Cribbs, Webster Slaughter, Eric Metcalf, and a dozen others. Book now and take advantage of our easy, budget-friendly payment plans on this once-in-a-lifetime, all-inclusive cruise adventure. The clock's ticking, Browns fans. To book your cabin and for more information, visit brownsfancruise.com or call 216-284-6472 today. Browns Fan Cruise, where diehard fans and Browns alumni come together for the trip of a lifetime. Don't wait, secure your spot today, and go Browns!